You're welcome back. The second part of the listening test is usually a conversation. It's usually a conversation. So, and it's usually a conversation between two students. Usually, between two students. It can also be between a student and a lecturer, and it can be between a lecturer and two students, but it's usually what a conversation. Another characteristic feature of this part two is that the options are shorter when compared to the part three, but it can be a, the opposite for you. So just learn the technique. That is what is the most important in this situation. So, like I just said, what is part two all about? Is usually a conversation, and one other thing, it can also involve what map reading, maps. And I know most people will tell you, I'm so scared of map reading. Then it can also involve another type of listening test known as the matching, where you match the options 1, 2, 3, 4 to the questions. These are the options will be A, B, C, D. And it will match to the question 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So these are matching questions. So usually, it's not usually, they are just 10 questions. And you will use what I call the advantage from the first part of the test. Let's proceed so that I can show you what I'm talking about. But before then, are they hard? It's supposed to be simple because there are also breaks. The first six questions, just like the first one, the first six questions, 11 to 16. Thereafter, they will now 17 to 20. So there are breaks. There is 1 minute break before it starts, because there's a 1 minute break for you to check on your part one. Don't do that, spend it here. Then there is a 30 seconds break that will be given for you to read through the questions. Spend it here. And so that by the time they will be starting the conversation, you must have finished reading the whole question and guessing some answers. Just guess, just randomly guess, so that by the time the options are being mentioned in the course of the conversation, you will be able to palpate the answer easily. The practical sessions are there, and I will guide you through. So how can I master this listening test? Like I said, use your tip. Use your word, your tip, which is also known as your tire up for those that will be doing the paper-based test. So your tip, look at the topic, the instruction will also be there. Then immediately as you're reading the question, listen to me. It's very important here that as you're reading the question, take note of the keywords in the question. Try and summarize the whole question in one word. What are they looking for? In just one word or two words. Just then each of the options, convert each of the options to just one word also. Okay, let me just show you how this will be done. Look at this now. The topic will be located here. Sometimes the topic will just be question 11 to 20. In such a situation, you don't need, but as part of the introduction to this particular part 2, you will hear what is going to be discussed. So the topic is either provided here, usually is provided here. I don't know why this particular exercise I'm using doesn't have such. So it will be provided here. This is the topic will be written here. Then the instruction choose the correct letter A, B, C. This is just the instruction. You can easily get that. Then the question is, the September celebration day is held. So what are you looking for? Is held. So you will see that what we're going to talk about, the most important thing here is what? September celebration. So you can just say celebration as a keyword. Celebration that is going to happen in September. So that is a keyword. You just note it down. 5 times a year to honor the city. You can just write 5 times on the park's important birthday. On the park's important birthday. Is it about the park? So the park. The park, to remember the history of the park. So you discover that this park is no longer in. So you can say park's birthday. Then to remember the history of the park. Now, park history. You see, park history, park birthday. So you can see these are the keywords here. So assuming all these other ones are, let me try and do it again so that you see. So you will just cancel every other thing here. September celebration, just cancel this. In your mind though, then 5 times a year to honor the city. 5 times, 5. You can just cancel 5. They're going to mention something that will happen 5 times. On the park's important day, you can see park's birthday, to remember the history of the park. You can see, you have cancelled them out so that the most important one. So what you are going to be seeing is September celebration. Is it 5 times? 5 times. Is it park's birthday? And is it history park? This just, so you see, it's easier to read. The park was first built. So the keyword here, all this thing is all about the building, built. 1955, 1979, 1990. In the 1990s. So they are usually going to mention all these things. But at the end of the day, they will say it was thought to be 1955, but it was later discovered that that was wrong. In the 1990s, the Brazilian forces came around, blah, blah, blah. But it was in 1979 that the place was finally completed. The answer here is what? It's 1979 at the end of the day. Now, the park still uses. What thing do they still use? Uses. That is the keyword they use. What are they still using? The children's play area. Is anything that has to do with the children? The petting zoo. Petting zoo. So are they still using the zoo? Two of the early rides. Is it a ride that they are using? Now, in some situations, when they are going to be mentioning, they will say, however, 3 of the late rides or 3 of the early rides. Once they mention 3, you know that they are no longer talking. Meaning this option is already wrong. And they say there is a zoo for pets which is still being used, while the children's play area has been outsourced or has been given out to some other companies. You discover that the answer will not be what? The petting zoo. So petting zoo will not be correct. What you want to do is to shrink it in such a way. The hurricane roller coaster is dash tall and made of wood. So the most important thing here is there's a roller coaster we're talking about. The coaster, there's a coaster. So is it tall and made of wood? So tall and wood. Designed by smaller children. Is it children that design and children? So these are just what you will take. And usually the keywords you will need are usually at the beginning and the end. Tall and wood, design and children. So that is how to go about it in your mind, because you don't have the time to start painting the page the way I just did. But should you have the opportunity, please read and underline, which is the part of the title. But now we are just doing tip. So in your mind is where you will be doing the reading and the underlining. So I want to recap the strategy once again, which is after the first part, you are given about 60 seconds to check your part 1. Please don't fall for that trap. Go straight to the part 2 and start going through the question. Then you apply your tip You apply your tip by underlining the keyword, the negatives. Now, very important, I tell you what negatives are and underlining the absolutes. Not, anytime you see not, never, just know that those are negatives. Always take note because that is where the catch is in the listening. Then the absolutes we have was like always. So must, these are absolute. So remember all those words. If I say it is optional, you know that it is not must. So you know that that is not the answer. So that is how to make sure that you are ahead of the people that are involved in that conversation, and by that you will be able to get more questions answered easily. Then you can go a step ahead by drawing small sketches to represent it. I remember there was an Ielts I wrote, and I was just drawing diagram by the side of the options, and it was so funny and fantastic drawing animals. But there's a way you can draw these animals. Anytime you read an option, just picture in your mind as what does this represent. It will help you to capture the image for the, and you can capture the image in what, in an exaggerated form, exaggerate it. So if they talk about a children playing yard, you can just see children, the big children jumping up and down. It's in your mind, just a second, you are done. The target is to make the options short before they start the conversation. Please underline the negatives like not, never, because that is where the trick is. Always underline the absolute like always and must. So that is where the catch is. Don't forget that, please. So we'll proceed to our approach in map reading in the next. You're welcome back to the listening test. My name still remains Atakuma Victor, and today our focus will be on map reading. Maps usually give our candidates a lot of headache, but today I hope to demystify map reading. So the first question is map reading hard? No, my answer is you need to be ready if you will master or ace your map reading. Readiness. I will give you the formula to get this done once and for all. And once you get it, make sure you continue using my formula. Okay. What is that formula? How can I master my map reading? The formula is what I call I'm coming, ERL. ERL is the formula. If you don't want to remember, if you don't want to use my mnemonic, remember that E stands for what? Entrance. R stands for roads. L stands for landmarks. So once you're given a question, you ask yourself, where is the entrance to this particular map? It's usually at the bottom of the map. Then you look for the R, the roads, the connecting road. You try to know the names of the roads if it is labeled. Then finally, you look for landmarks. Landmarks are those structures that are found in the map that have labeling. For example, they say this one is a hut, here is the library, then they will now start labeling the letters A, B, C, D. Is this one that you're going to find out at the end of the day? But you need to know those landmarks, so that once they mention a landmark, they will tell you whether you're moving to the right of the landmark or to the left of the landmark. You also need to know the names of the roads, so that when they say we are on so and so road, you don't think about it that much. It's in a split of a second, you can be able to locate where the road is located. That is how to master the map the map listening test. I believe we'll be able to practicalize it during our exercises. Secondly, it's very important that you know your map, you know your compass. I'm talking about your compass, where up is the north and your right is your east. We usually confuse between, you know, right and left. They say turn right or turn left. Very simple. Just remember one thing, because you will not have any problem with north or up, and you will not have problem with south or down. The usual problem is usually between east and right, west and left. So don't forget about west and left. Just remember east and right. East and right, I just say RE. I always tell myself RE is this side. And since I write with my right, RE, right is right or east. So anywhere that they say left or west, I know is the opposite side. So my brain has been my brain has been systematized in such a way that once you mention right, it's my right hand. Once you mention east, it's still my right hand. And if you remember that RE, religious education, is a study of Jesus. RE is a study of Jesus. Religious education is a study of Jesus. And Jesus, wise men from the east came to see Jesus. So Jesus is at the right hand of God the Father Almighty, and wise men from the east came to see him. So R and E. Is that clear? Very, very important. This is just my way of remembering this thing. After a while, you don't need to remember them that much. So, how do you do your tie rope in this place? Say, it's important. You remember we've added another thing now, compass, which is north, east, west, and south. So for instance, now look at this map here. You can see the title of the map. The title of the map is what? The title of the map here is Oceanbrook Park. The most important thing is a park. It's a park. So this is a park. You're going to learn some things. So first of all, you look at your compass. You see, it's not CERL self. Don't worry. You just remember it. The first thing you need to know, look at your north. So this place is your north. Anywhere here is north. Here is your east. This is all you need to know. North or up. This is north or up. This is east, right, or east, if you remember what we just discussed. So you know that the opposite side is going to be west or left or west. Then down will now be south or what? Down. So this is the first thing. You have gotten the compass. Then immediately, these are things you can quickly do. Your entrance. The entrance is usually at the bottom. So mostly the entrance is going to be around this west gate. They are going to tell us that they are entering through this west gate. But if they are not going to enter through this west gate, they may say that they are going to enter through this east gate. But that will tell us what you now look for. Whereas, where are the roads? You can see there's a road that leads from the west gate like this. There are roads, then there's a roundabout here. These are things you need to follow up. Then there's a road that leads from the east gate, and there's a road that leads from here and turns like this. The last one is landmarks, the places that are labeled. You can see there's a lake that is labeled here. You can see there's on that lake, you discover that there's something that is south of the lake, which is this structure here. There's one that is west of the lake. There's another one that is east of the lake. There's one that is southwest of the lake. It's another one here. So just take note of those things, but follow this formula. After you finish with your compass and you label it around it, if it is computer based, you may not be able to write all these things. So just note it. That's why I told you RE, because it's the one that usually get people confused. Then your entrance, always look at the down part. But when they start the discussion, they will tell you where they are entering from. Then we talk about the rules. You just try and just glance at the rules. If they are labeled, if they are not labeled, just look at where the road starts. They will say road leading from so and so. Then landmass, very important. Look at the landmass. We have a lake, then we have a refreshment here. So they are going to mention this thing so that when they mention, they say close to the refreshment, you know that it must be this structure. So that is how you will get. And once they start speaking, the man that is reading the map or that is explaining the map will first of all start with the bed height, then move over to the dog walking area, the flower garden, then finally to the wooded area. That is how. And once they start on any one of those locations, you will discover that they will either start from the beginning or they'll call a landmark and tell you the relationship to the landmark. You just listen for those and follow as they are moving, and you will easily get your destination or the structure that is being discussed. Okay, so as a way of recapping the whole session, I will say that your compass, I would say that you should first of all start with what? Start with your compass, label maps with your big northwest, east, and south, and your arrow. What's all this now? This is so funny. Right, left, up, and down signs. You can decide to put them around it. But then, if it's computer-based test, you may not be able to write on it. So just remember what? Right and east. Remember, right and east. Then your entrance, this is where you start, and it's usually at the bottom. Very usually at the bottom. Then the roads, you should be able to close your eyes and know the roads. Just a brief closing, just blink. Then the landmarks, you can see the lakes, the houses, anything that is labeled. And usually there is one structure that is usually not labeled, but they will draw it. You know that there are trees, so just look out for trees also, because they may be making reference to it. And that is that for that. Should you have an opportunity to go through a question like this, please make sure you get everything. Yes. In this situation, do you usually use tie rope? Yes, you can use tie rope, you can use tip, but just this particular formula that I just discussed with you will do you more good. You can see here, look at what I have done here. You can see I have put the knot very loud here. You can see the knot. This particular app is not look at the knot. See how the south, then look at the east and look at the west. Then you see, and when it is time for entrance, this is the likely entrance, and look at the structures that you need to make sure that you're very familiar with. And before you know what's happening, you've gotten every part of that question. Thank you for your time, and we'll be going for the next section immediately. Thank you.